Hello, everyone. This is Katrin with Disability Rights New York. Welcome to our podcast, Empire State of Rights Closed Captioned. We are here to bring you information on the most relevant topics regarding disability rights and advocacy. Today, we have Mark Fleidner, Pair and PARP Director here at DRNY. He's going to discuss the protection and advocacy for beneficiaries with Representative Payees program. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. So glad to be with you.
Well, so tell us a little bit about this program and its mission. We just briefly talked about its name and how it might be different, whether it's on our website or on the federal website. Can you speak to that for us?
I sure will. It's because it's an awkward acronym and because there's a lot to be said. We really nationwide are calling it the Representative Payee Program, which cuts to the core of what it's about. For many years now, the Social Security Administration has recognized that there are certain beneficiaries of Social Security disability benefits who, at certain points in their life or throughout their life, are capable of doing lots of wonderful things, but are not readily capable of managing their finances, and specifically managing the benefits that are being sent to them by Social Security for use in their housing, their daily essentials. And so what the program has always recognized is that under some circumstances, it's appropriate to assign somebody or an organization to work with the beneficiary to actually receive the Social Security disability benefits, and then keep good records and make sure that the beneficiary is getting everything they need and that the benefits are being used for their best interests. As you can imagine, with all of the things that the large bureaucracy of SSA has to do, they have always assigned somebody. It used to be contractors from different organizations to do periodic reviews, to get together with these representative payees and basically go over their books and go over their procedures to make sure that they're doing the right thing by the beneficiaries and that the beneficiaries are getting everything they need. And, of course, to interview the beneficiaries themselves to make sure everything is safe and sound. But interestingly enough, it was just this past summer that legislation was passed where Congress said, you know what? The appropriate people, the appropriate organizations to be doing this work are actually the P&As, the protection and advocacy groups throughout the nation. There's one in every state, as your podcast listeners probably know by now. And because we're really advocates, we're always looking out to make sure that those people with disabilities that we serve are being well protected. And so it makes sense to assign that responsibility to the P&As themselves. Disability Rights New York is the P&A, quote unquote, in New York State. And so it became a brand new program for us. And we've dug in, and now we're down to work.
So let me just go back and have some clarification on what the representative, or I should say who the representative payee is in this situation. So there's the person that is receiving the benefits, and then there's the representative payee. And that could be an organization or an individual. Is that correct?
That is correct. We refer to the person that is entitled to the benefits as the beneficiary for the purposes of this conversation, and we refer to the individual or entity that's getting the payments directly and needs to disperse them properly as the representative payee. And you're right to say it can be an individual, it can be somebody that's a family member or a loved one who has been determined to be appropriate to play that role, or it can be an organization. It can even be the institution or the housing collective where the beneficiary lives and works.
And so the reviews, this oversight that we're looking at now, and how the P&As are going to start reviewing the books or processes that the rep payees are using, how is that going to start? What's the rollout look like for that?
Well, the rollout has begun. It's been a very, very interesting process because you're talking about, a very long-standing bureaucracy, if you will, the Social Security Administration, having to train folks throughout the nation on how to best check on fiduciary responsibilities and how they're playing out for the rep payees. And so we got a lot of training, and we also did a lot of in-house training because we at DRNY wanted to get it right in terms of cultural competence, working with the beneficiaries and really communicating with them the best way that we could. And then we actually, obviously, confidentiality in terms of the information is really paramount to SSA and us. So SSA has set up a very specific set of protocols. It's a business practice document that we follow very carefully, and then we load the information into computers that were issued by the Social Security Administration with a chip for each one of us as individuals. We had our credentials checked to make sure that we were folks that were appropriate for this significant responsibility, and then we prepare a report. After we've met with the representatives and payees and the beneficiaries, we prepare a report and documenting our findings of what's working and what's not, what could be better as well, and we put them directly into this computer system, and they go directly to SSA for appropriate action after that.
So obviously, we're hoping with the oversight that things are all going smoothly and that everything is being handled the way it should. But unfortunately, there are definitely situations where it's not going well. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that were happening or are happening that we need to be made aware of as the P&A?
Sure. I mean, the reality is that while most people who go into, let's say, healthcare services are doing it for all the right reasons and for all the right motivations, either because they lost sight of things or because they're not fiscally savvy or particularly responsible, or unfortunately because they actually have a motivation to try and, do something wrong, there can be situations where the money is not getting to the beneficiaries the way they want it to, or it's not really being carefully monitored so that it's being fairly distributed to all beneficiaries involved with that organization. And so obviously we're looking really carefully at the records to see what do they do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis to account for where the money comes in and where it goes out and for what specific purposes. And sometimes we see problems, and that's when we identify them and report them to the Social Security Administration. But what's cool about the fact that, and what's exciting for us as advocates who are taking this over as the P&As, is that if we see other problems when we're there, if we happen to be in a facility where maybe there's not only a problem with the way they're quote unquote keeping the books, but maybe the care that they're giving to somebody, let's say in a nursing facility, because of our particular expertise at looking for these things and how to report and then rectify those problems, we can then take responsibility for that. That goes beyond Social Security's realm, but it gives us a window on something that's a community problem that's got to be addressed really aggressively, and that's where DRNY comes into play. It kind of goes down another lane into one of our other programs, and we get to work that way.
Right, and that falls under the purview of DRNY as being able to investigate and monitor abuse and neglect in all of our programs. So it's a great opportunity to do both.
Yeah, exactly. It's everything from looking to see that the fire alarm is where it's supposed to be in the room where the person resides, or the fact that they have ready access to be able to talk to the representative payee if they need money on kind of an emergent basis. But it can also be something as dramatic as the fact that there's real abuse or neglect going on, physical abuse or neglect, where, let's say, a nursing home patient is just not being cared for and they're sick as a result, and then we get right on it.
And so currently at DRNY, there are 9 different programs that care or our monitoring can fall under. So how is the Rep Payee program different than the other 8?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, what's the same about it is that we're serving the same community. We're serving people with every kind of disability, and that can be, of course, physical disabilities, people with serious mental illness, people with intellectual or developmental disabilities, traumatic brain injury, all of these things. So that's the commonality. But what's unique about it is that it's focused on the finances, the keeping of the finances, and whether what they were determined to be entitled to meet their daily needs, is in fact reaching them as it should be. And that's something that is specific to Rep Payee that we don't look at as much in the other programs.
And so we talked about this program starting last summer, the summer of 2018. So since then, can you give us a little bit of an idea of the progress that we've made since then, and what goals are we working towards for the Rep Payee program?
Yeah, well, it's been a challenge, to be honest with you, because this is something that where the the votes in Congress and the initiation of the legislation happened fast, and Social Security needed to get ready for us. And you can only imagine how long it took for them to properly screen all of us, properly train all of us, and then, frankly, even get us the equipment that we need, these unique chips and these unique computers that we use. So there was a lag time, and we're playing catch up. Having said that, we, and I think based on what I see, the other P&As have done our best to get up to speed and to catch up. And now that we're in a groove, it's getting really interesting, because we're seeing certain patterns of things where we know that when we give SSA the feedback, we'll be able to come up with better ways to report, and maybe even things that they can do better, that we see as advocates in a way that just some contractor who's looking at financial records might not have seen. And, I have to tell you, one of my best Fridays, a couple of weeks ago, we got this voicemail, and thankfully our intake sent it to me. Two of the young analysts that I work with in our office, young but so smart and qualified with the financial information and the cultural information, had just left this young man's home. And he called, and I guess he wanted to reach me because he was looking for the person that runs the program. And I kept it, and I'll keep it forever. I also made sure that I sent it to the executive director, because we need to know when the good things happen, right?
That's right.
And he just said, in the kindest voice, he said, I just wanted to take some time to say that, and he listed their names. These two people just left my house. I did have concerns about my money. I didn't understand certain things. And they were so thorough, they were so professional, and when they left, I felt so much better. I feel so much better now. And you can only imagine what that feels like. That's what we do at DRNY. That's what we do as P&As. And so that's where we're ending up providing the same service, if you will, that we do under all the other programs,
That is great. What a great voicemail. I'm glad you held on to that. And so, based on this podcast and other information that we're putting out about the Rep Payee program, if people have questions, if they're thinking to themselves after they've been part of this audience, I have questions about this myself, who should they be contacting?
Well, they should call DRNY at our main number, because we have this, as again, some of your podcast listeners might know, we have this great intake department where they know exactly where to send the calls. So, of course, our main number is 800-993-8982. As soon as you mention that this is an interest or a concern that you have about the representative payee role, it can be that you've got concerns about what your rep payee is doing, you want to know how you can get a rep payee, you maybe even want to consider having the representative payee removed. The intake department's going to know. They're going to send it to me. It's going to then be handled by these folks that are uniquely qualified to address these issues. And whether we refer the folks to general information that they can find through SSA or our website, or whether we actually initiate a case where we really investigate, that's the fairly straightforward way for us to get to them.
All right, great. This is so exciting to have this new program and all of the benefits and opportunities that are available with it. Mark, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I look forward to hearing from folks.
Empire State of Rights Closed Captioned has been brought to you by Disability Rights New York, your source for disability rights and advocacy. If you enjoyed our program, and we hope you did, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this post. If there is a subject you would like us to discuss, please email podcast@drny.org or comment below. Tune in next time, where we'll bring you more information on disability rights in the state of New York. The closed caption version of this podcast is available on our YouTube channel.